Welcome to Crushgasm, the podcast dedicated to the highs and lows of crushes. From their first to their worst, we're going to cover them all with a cascade of characters, including our guest today. Just a girl standing with a physical magazine in hand, wondering every year, will this be the end of print media? Me! Yes, the solo shows continue with the annual tradition of going through People magazine's Sexiest Man issue and giving my 2 cents about everything from the cover story to the Men of the Year and beyond. So let's waste no more time and get to it. So this year's Sexiest Man is someone I felt should have won many years ago when Grey's Anatomy was still in single-digit seasons, and that's Patrick Dempsey. I'd have to go back and find out if he was even mentioned in the years that Enchanted and Disenchanted dropped, because what's he even promoting to be on the cover this year? Oh, a horror movie about Thanksgiving, because that's going to be bigger than anything Ryan Gosling did this year as Ken in the blockbuster hit Barbie. But hey, no hate towards McDreamy. He's a handsome man who notes in the issue that his mother taught him to always open the door for a lady, and that he's really self-conscious about his entire being, to which he thanked the magazine for giving him this honor that would place him on the cover in a huge spotlight. But he's not the only one, as People doesn't just highlight one man. No. Dempsey is just the sexiest of them all this year. And right after him and his cover story are the Men of the Year, a group that does include my cover choice that went ignored this year, Ryan Gosling. Who was bigger this year than Ryan Gosling and that pink-hued movie Barbie? Well, according to People, it was Patrick Dempsey in Thanksgiving. However, again, no hate. Gosling was not alone in the Men of the Year. Alongside him were the internet's baby daddy, Pedro Pascal, who we got to see more of this year as he went from rocking a helmet in The Mandalorian to fighting for his life in the video game turned HBO hit series The Last of Us. Other men included Jamie Foxx and Jeremy Renner, both of which had fans stressed out all year due to illnesses and injuries. There was Bad Bunny, who made noise this year in music and in movies, I think in wrestling, but also for dating Kendall Jenner for some reason. And also, on that note, Glenn Powell, another man I only recognize from gossip headlines, as they said he was having an affair with his Anyone But You co-star, Sydney Sweeney. Which, speaking of, Sweeney's Euphoria co-star, Jacob, can't say that last name, that tall, really tall guy, he towered over the Men of the Year with that redwood tree frame. And another striking frame in the Men of the Year category, comedian Matt Rife. Netflix made us quite aware of his physique when they pimped his shirtless body for his streaming special. And if we're talking physiques, we can't fail to mention the likes of Lenny Kravitz, whose mere existence makes him worthy of this issue, as well as Cillian Murphy, who bared it all for some reason, and one half of Barbeheimer this year, Oppenheimer, as a titular character. Oh, and Usher. He's in the Men of the Year too, for I'm assuming his Vegas residency that has had panties bunching nightly. There were a few others in this category, including a couple of athletes like Lionel Messi and Jason Kelce. Also, Beef star Stephen Wynn, and the stunning actors like Riz Ahmed and Timothy Chalamet. And the coolest one of the bunch in this one for me, Offset. So we just mentioned Jason Kelce, but People was not going to miss out on a chance to feature something about Taylor Swift, even if it's about the sexiest men alive. So they had the sexiest Swifties this year, which included obviously the number one Swiftie of the year, Travis Kelce. The rest of the section featured other men who had went out to the Eras Tour this year, including Channing Tatum, Jeff Goldblum, Flava Flav, and New Girl's Max Greenfield, just to mention a few. And if you like games that aren't football based like T Swift's Bow, you can pick up the issue of People and play the Eyes Have It, a game in which you see if you can guess whose eyes are whose out of a dozen sexiest men. I'll give you a few hints. Jared Leto, Ian Somerhalder, and Chris Hemsworth. I'm just going to give you those 3 because they're pretty obvious. The best part about this, it's featured right next to an ad for Sustain, an eye relief lubricant. What were the odds? After that is a section called Yes Chef. It featured 0 chefs, but a lot of men from Hollywood and beyond in various kitchens. Were they their own? Probably not. But those men included a man who was perfectly named for this one, Kevin Bacon, as well as one of my childhood heroes, Carson Daly, as well as Stanley Tucci, Ludacris, and Snoop Dogg. Oh, and I will say there have been throughout the issue some TikTok stars and influencers, other types like that. I'm not going to mention them by name because I have no clue who they are. I'm not young, I'm not hip, but if that is your thing, check out the magazine and see which ones made it and which ones did not. Anyways, we continue with the Then and Wow section where hotties are placed next to their adorable pictures from way back when. So if you want to see what the Bears, Jeremy Allen White looked like as a kid, or Boris Kojo, People's got you covered. If I could speak about a few though, Kane Brown is like me in that he has looked the same ever since birth. If you look at a picture of me at 3, it looks like a picture of me when I was 16. It looks like me now. I've just gotten taller and less adorable, but Kane Brown, the adorables remained the same. As for Ben Affleck, as a tween, he looked like any regular mean kid in a 90s movie, and Kevin Jonas as a baby looked like he was ready to do taxes. And then after that, we have a little special one-off section. Simu Liu from the Marvel realm got his own little section called Sexy and the City. And you know who else got their own kind of page spread? Jack from Jack in the Box, as he's called the sexiest Jack alive. And somewhere Jack Harlow is very, very sad. He lost out to a styrofoam head. Anyway, featuring a mascot that was new to me, but Sexy at Every Age, where they list someone from age 20 to 70, is a reoccurring aspect of the magazine in this issue that has dates back again. So this year they started with Travis Barker's son Landon, highlighted another beef star, Joseph Lynn, in the 30s, the likes of Kenan Thompson in the 40s, Coleman Domingo in the 50s, John Stamos representing all the 60s-year-olds, and they capped things off with Michael Bolton, who was declared the hottest 70-year-old of the year. But if you thought Landon Barker was the youngest to get name dropped this year, nope, the cutest baby got mentioned, and that was Chrissy Teigen and John Legend's 5-month-old Ren Alexander. Why? Why did people feel it was necessary? Perhaps they had someone miss a photo shoot and thought, well, let's just pull these pictures from Instagram and roll with that. Weird, but this is also the year that Jack from Jack in the Box was featured, so I guess anything goes. With that, this year's Sexiest Man issue was kind of lackluster. I felt like there could have been a whole section on the sexiest kins or even the sexiest from Oppenheimer. Their leads were highlighted, but each of those movies had a lot of gorgeous men in their cast. So feels like a missed opportunity. There we had Ryan Gosling and Simu Liu, but again, so many other people in Barbie could have been featured as well as Oppenheimer, so think again. It was also lacking in new sections altogether. The chef's part was kind of cool, the only newish thing we got that felt like a fleshed out idea and not just a dozen pairs of eyes like some game in an issue of J14 from 2002. So maybe a little more creativity next year, people. What am I buying this for? What am I doing this for? I want to see some creativity, not just pictures placed in a magazine, you know? Give me an aesthetic. But that's it for me, though. What do you think of Patrick Dempsey being named the sexiest man of 2023? Is he correct? A little late? If you agree, I want to know why. If you don't, I want to know who you would have placed on the cover instead. But for now, it's time I bid farewell. But before I do, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me talk about People Magazine's Sexiest Man issue. And everyone, you can find all of People's information below, as well as Crushgasm's. And until next time, as always, keep crushing it. Crushgasm is part of the I Did Not Make These Rankings podcast network, alongside some other pretty cool shows, including An Evening at the Movies, Crime Rewind, Literature Reapers, Love is Black, Masturbators, Men Are the Prize, and The Sip List. You can find all of us and more over at idnmtrpodcastnetwork.com.